we'll let people continue to gather, but go ahead, and if you're not eating a snack or drinking coffee, feel free to turn on your video. It's great to see everybody virtually today, and thanks so much for joining us. I am Katie Hydorn. I'm Executive Director of Insure the Uninsured Project, and I'm just delighted to welcome you all here today. We're going to talk about broadband, health, and equity. I think you all know, most of you know about ITUP, but for those of you that don't, Insure the Uninsured Project is an over 25-year-old health policy organization. We've obviously been working to insure the uninsured for a long time, and I'm so grateful to the state and all the advocates, many of you here, who have been working towards that goal along with us for the last couple decades, and we're really, really, really close. And so we've, in addition to continuing to try and insure the uninsured, we've broadened our work and trying to make that coverage meaningful. And as part of that work, and as part of the work that we did during the pandemic, we had a lot of conversations about the value of telehealth. But part of that, as you all know, is that when we started to do telehealth in a big, real way, especially with our Medi-Cal population, we really lifted the lid off the pot and got to talk about the lack of connectivity. And so about 2 years ago now, almost 2 years ago, we listened to our first California Broadband Council meeting where they were finalizing the California Broadband Action Plan. And we've been working in the broadband policy space for the last couple of years, and it's been such a pleasure to learn a new policy area because we're policy wonks at the core, and we really appreciate all of you and all the work that you do in telehealth and virtual care, and that you're interested in learning about how health can have a role in broadband infrastructure. So this is, I would say, a smaller call than we typically have, but it's a very focused call. And I know we've had individual conversations with many of you. We've had a lot of conversations about this topic over the last couple of years. So just wanted to welcome you here. I think we have a very special guest with us today, Scott Adams, Deputy Director at the California Department of Technology. Scott, waving at everybody. Thanks, Scott. Welcome. Scott was kind enough to come here and visit a group of health and human services and social care folks to talk about this. So very excited to hear from him and what the California Department of Technology is doing. And he's going to talk to you all about how folks in our health and human services, social care, housing communities can all get engaged in their process. And I really hope you all do engage. But before that, Scott, I think we've got some time. And so I think it actually, if you don't mind, would be wonderful to have us go around and introduce ourselves, and then I'll turn it over to you, if that's okay.
Oh, I think that'd be great.
Wonderful. And don't worry, you'll get a chance to actually introduce yourself and do a much better job than I did in a little bit. So I'm going to invite the folks from the ITUP team, just so you can see who my ITUP folks are, in case any of you all have questions. And then I'll just go around my screen and ask you each to introduce yourselves, your name, organization, and why you're interested in broadband and why you're here today. So I'll go to Emily first. Emily Casillo, go ahead.
Thanks, Katie. Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Happy to be here. My name is Emily Casillo. I am ITUP's Director of Programs, and I support Katie in executing all these wonderful webinars and policy forums that we put on. Thank you. Shirley?
Thanks, Emily. Hi, everyone. My name is Shirley Lamb. I'm ITUP's Senior Policy Project Coordinator, so all things broadband is for me to pay attention to. So pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Thanks, Emily. Thanks, Shirley. All right, I'm just going to go around my screen. So here we go. Megan, Rose, go ahead. First up.
Hi, everyone. My name is Megan Rose. I'm General Counsel and Chief Government Affairs Officer for Leading Age California, representing nonprofit providers of senior housing and services across the aging continuum. Thank you.
Thanks, Megan. Allegra, great to see you.
Hi, I'm Allegra Kim. I'm with the Family Operations Committee. And I'm just
Right, yeah. And then you know, it's Tulare County, right up from the Central Valley.
Thanks, Allegra. Let's see, Shubha, go ahead.
Hi, everyone. This is Shubha Devadas. I am from the California Telehealth Resource Center, and we provide telehealth for the state of California, regardless of who you are, providers, patients, and all kinds of healthcare settings. And we know and we have seen broadband as a major challenge for our health centers as well as our patients. And I'm here to brainstorm with all of you and learn from all of you and look for solutions. So super excited to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Shubha. Aislinn.
Hi, I'm Aislinn Taylor, and I also am with the California Telehealth Resource Center, similar with Shuba, just happy to be here and discuss this topic.
Thank you. Sylvia, keeping with the theme here.
Hi, I am the part of the parent organization of the California Telehealth Resource Center. OCHN also is the parent of the California Telehealth Network, and we support about 137 total organizations in California, and with a range of technology-related tools and infrastructure for 89 organizations. We support broadband. 51 members are on the OCHN instance of Epic, but we also support NextGen for 4 organizations. And we support about 46 members who are part of a health center controlled network where we provide support for health information technology and provide technical support. We are huge supporters of telehealth and connectivity and closing the digital divide and have been for decades. So we are very happy to be here. Thank you.
Thanks for being here, Sylvia. Let's see, Heidi, please go ahead.
Hi, my name's Heidi Richardson. I'm a program planner with Sacramento County Senior and Adult Services. I'm here to learn because I think this is an important topic.
Thanks, Heidi. Jody, go ahead.
Hi, my name is Jody Mulligan-File. I'm a project manager at the California WIC Association. We are a member association that works with 84 different WIC agencies in the state of California. And we've been around for quite a long time, as has WIC. And so we're just sort of trying to figure out where we fit in all of this. I think that a lot of our agencies are seeing a lot more of our participants using the sort of telehealth model, and especially since the pandemic. And we also use it for lactation services and other things. And so I think just really wanting to make sure that we are representing the health and human services side to all of this, and hoping that we can be a part of the conversation to make it better for all of our California citizens who utilize services.
Thanks, Jody. Diana, go ahead.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Diana Camacho. I'm a senior program officer at the California Healthcare Foundation, and I lead our work on telehealth. So I think it's clear from these conversations on the link between access to telehealth and broadband, and CHCF is doing some work in the digital connectivity space, including on broadband. Happy to be here.
Absolutely. Thank you, Diana. Deanne, go ahead. Oh, Deanne Cuellar, can you hear me? Popcorn to you.
Sorry,
It's okay.
I'm having mouse difficulties.
Oh no.
Wireless mouse difficulties. Hi, my name is Deanne Cuellar. I am from the Institute for Local Self-Reliance, and I'm the Community Broadband Outreach Lead.
Wonderful. Thanks, Deanne. Lily Dorn, go ahead.
Hi, everyone. Lily Dorn with the Community Clinic Association of Los Angeles County. Also very pleased to be with you all today just to advance digital equity at the state level. We represent 65 nonprofit community clinics and health centers that serve roughly 1.7 million patients each year. As you have all said so eloquently, we and our members in particular and their patients have a personal stake in these conversations. So looking forward to today.
Thanks for being here, Lily. Dr. Ozerin, please go ahead.
Thank you, Katie, and good afternoon, everyone. I'm Larry Ozerin, President of Clinical Informatics. We support healthcare entities, government agencies, and startup companies with strategy, policy, and innovation. I'm here because I think it's important for the state to spend the billions of dollars they're planning to spend to expand broadband in a way that maximally benefits all Californians, and right now I'm not seeing that.
Thanks, Dr. Ozerin. Lorena, please go ahead.
Hello, good afternoon. My name is Lorena Sanchez, and I work for Sacramento Cover, which is a nonprofit organization, and we support individuals in getting connected to care and scheduling appointments. And so this conversation about telehealth and broadband is very timely. So thank you so much for allowing me to be here.
Thanks so much for being here. And just to take a quick pause, if anyone wants to drop their links of their organizations or anything, any additional information that you want us to capture, please feel free to use the chat. Don't hesitate there. Thanks. Let's see who's next. Lee, go ahead. Lee Sorrell.
Hi, everybody. Lee Sorrell. I work for CDSS, specifically in the Program Innovation and Evaluation Bureau. I manage the CalWorks outreach team, and as Sylvia had mentioned earlier, we're just looking for ways to reduce that digital divide. Thank you.
Wonderful, Lee. Thanks for finding your way to us. Michelle Matter.
Hi, everyone. I'm Michelle Matter. I'm a senior policy analyst for the SCAN Foundation. I apologize for having my video off. My electricity went off at home, so I'm at a Starbucks listening in, but I'm here to listen and learn, and we're doing a lot of health equity projects, so I'm here to take some of that information back. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for illustrating part of the digital divide and the solutions that we currently have in our communities. Let's see, C-Ping, go ahead.
Hi, everybody. I'm Siping Chow from Kaiser Permanente, and I work specifically on social health member initiatives and have been working on the larger digital equity strategy for the organization, and have been very interested in this work. So thanks for letting me join today.
Of course, thanks for being here. Srishti.
Hi, everyone. There you go. Hi, everyone. My name is Srishti Sharma. I'm a clinical informatics physician working at Enterprise Data and Information Management Division at Department of Healthcare Services. I want to learn about how telehealth utilization data can be used along with broadband data to advance services for our medical beneficiaries. And I'm happy to be here and to learn from all of you. Thanks.
Great. Thanks for being here. Robbie.
Hi, hi everyone. I'm Robbie Franceschini with Blue Path Health, and help to manage a couple different telehealth and HIE related coalition efforts, many of which people on this call are part of. And you know, I think has been said before, broadband is critical to all that work. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Robbie. James.
Hey everyone, my name is James Gunn. I am a member of the CalWorks outreach team at CDSS and super interested in how we can use broadband to increase our reach for things like tax filing and supportive services for our tribal TANF program. So excited to learn more.
Wonderful. Thanks for being here, James. Rebecca, Marcus.
Hi, good afternoon. And I also apologize for having my video off. I'm in an airport that sounds like a marching band is going through it right now. So I'm with Leading Age California. I am with Megan Rose. I'm their contract lobbyist working on housing and broadband issues, and here for the same reasons. Just want to bridge the digital divide, especially specifically to seniors and affordable housing. Thanks for connecting all of us.
Thanks for being here, Rebecca. Lisa Davis.
Hi, everyone. Lisa Davis from the Children's Partnership. I'm the Director of Community Engagement and Advocacy. The Children's Partnership works with local, state, and national partners to advance the resources and opportunities that children need to grow up healthy and thrive. And we believe that that includes making sure that they have strong, economically stable, and well-connected families. So that is why we're here. Thank you for having us.
Thanks, Lisa. Kathy Kim.
Hello, I'm Kathy Kim. I'm a principal in consumer health informatics at MITRE, which is a nonprofit research and development organization. I'm a health informatics researcher and have done lots of digital health interventions in underserved communities. So I design and implement technologies and try to address all the barriers to actually adopting them in our communities. So digital equity and digital health equity are the sort of core concerns and areas that I work in all of my research. So I'm happy to be here.
Great, thank you for being here. Let's see, Rebecca Flournoy.
Hi, everyone. This is Rebecca Flournoy. I'm a senior health policy leader with Kaiser Permanente's Institute for Health Policy. And I imagine Siping probably already described Kaiser Permanente's interest in this space, but really excited to join for the conversation today. Thank you.
Thanks, Rebecca. And Shayna, last but not least.
Last but not least, and I will also apologize for mostly being off video today. Totally appropriately, my internet connection is iffy. So I'm the director of the Digital Equity Initiative at the California Community Foundation, as well as a co-convener of the California Alliance for Digital Equity, which is a statewide coalition of digital equity champions, and also a pooled fund of philanthropists from all across the state who are supporting technical assistance so that local communities and organizations can participate more fully in all of these processes. And our interest is in fast, reliable, and affordable internet for every Angelino and every Californian as a necessary precursor for advancing equity in health, education, housing, immigration, and everything else we care about. Thank you for convening, Katie. This is great.
Absolutely. Thanks, Shayna. Excuse me. Thanks, Shayna. And so we're going to have Scott, as he takes a drink of water, of course. Scott, we're going to invite you to now fully introduce yourself now that you've met the whole room. And if you have a presentation, great. If not, we'll let you give an update to us. And then we'll probably kick it back over to Shayna and ask her to tell you a little bit more about CADE and their alliance efforts as well. So Scott, why don't you go ahead and kick us off?
Got it. Thank you very much. So at your instruction, I did put together a presentation.
Excellent.
So I have that. You said 20 minutes, so it's a little bit long, and I'm going to rifle through it. But I do want to say it's just a pleasure to be here. My name is Scott Adams. I'm the Deputy Director of Broadband and Digital Literacy at the California Department of Technology. A little bit about me. I've been in this position for about a year and a half, but my career has followed an interesting path. I started out as a community organizer in college and went door to door generating support for single payer healthcare. I hope that's not a red flag for some of you, but spent time again as a community organizer, campaign manager, some time in the legislature, and then spent 10 years working at a major ISP, leading one of the nation's largest broadband adoption programs. Took some time out, went to UC Berkeley's Goldman School of Public Policy, where I got my master's in public affairs and did my thesis on communication system failures during disasters, because that was during the pandemic. So spent a lot of time there looking at the digital divide with unaffiliated eyes, and it's just a pleasure to be working with the Department of Technology and advancing broadband for all for the administration. I will stop there, and please forgive me, I'm coming down with a cold, so I may be coughing a little bit. Can everyone see this?
Yep, looks good.
Great. So, based on your introductions and the issues that all of you are working on and that your clients and constituents are facing, I don't think that it will come as a surprise that I lead off my presentation just with this quote, that Californians' ability to access and use broadband is the difference between being fully engaged in life and being cut off. As we all know that California has had a persistent digital divide. COVID and the pandemic only amplified the lack of equity that exists for many folks. And I think that the inequities were amplified by the fact that with all of us, required to work from home, to go to school from home, to access healthcare and healthcare services from home, that having robust, reliable, affordable broadband was a gating factor. And for many folks, having devices and the skills and training to leverage those devices were also a gating factor. So I'm sure you folks are familiar with the data, but 83% of Californians have access to broadband. Only 52% of Californians have broadband at modern speeds of 100 megabits per second. 51% of rural households have no network offering of 100 megabits per second, and 28% of tribal lands lack that service. And I think the big thing that all of us are really uniting around is that millions of California residents lack either internet service devices and skills to access, your services, the state services, and others, and to fully realize others' social and economic benefits. And that is, what I'm here to talk to you today about, what the state is doing and how we are hoping to align with your efforts. I want to take a step back a little bit and say, why the Department of Technology? The Department of Technology is the leading entity in the state, coordinating policy, IT oversight, information security, tech service delivery, and advocacy. My office, the Office of Broadband and Digital Literacy, is charged with really interacting with the statewide ecosystem dedicated to closing the digital divide. We also, given that my boss is the chair of the California Broadband Council, we, staff and lead the Broadband Council and lead and coordinate the work of the state's Broadband for All initiatives that really started with the governor's broadband executive order in response to COVID, was further expanded with the development of the Broadband for All Action Plan, which I am quite confident many of you participated in its development. It was further expanded when we were charged with developing the statewide open access middle mile network. And now we will be leading the development of the state's digital equity plan. So about the Broadband Council, much like this stakeholder group at the state level, California's been unique that since 2010, we've had a very diverse multi-agency effort to coordinate broadband deployment and adoption efforts. And the Broadband Council, includes 9 state agencies, including the Public Utilities Commission, the Department of Education, Department of Food and Ag, California Transportation Agency, the Office of the Tribal Advisor. We also have one non-state agency member, that's the California Emerging Technology Fund, who many of you may be familiar with, and then representatives from both the Assembly and the State Senate. As I mentioned, from 2010 to the pandemic, a lot of the work of the council was just coordinating, looking at public-private partnerships, finding ways to create a framework and promote policies to further promote broadband deployment and adoption. But the governor's executive order during the pandemic required that the California Broadband Council develop a statewide broadband action plan. And that executive order contained 15 very specific direction on items related to improving the state's mapping, identifying and leveraging funding to support broadband deployment and adoption, and then creating partnerships and identifying ways to actually further deploy infrastructure and increase adoption rates in California. Coming out of the executive order in just 4 months during the pandemic, in collaboration with over 700 entities, the Broadband Council completed the Broadband Action Plan. And the Broadband Action Plan also contained about 24 specific action items that were really clustered under 3 main goals. And the first is that all Californians have high performance broadband available at homes, schools, libraries, and businesses, that all Californians have access to affordable broadband and necessary devices. And then the last one, that all Californians can access training and support to enable digital inclusion. As I had mentioned at the outset, our task with developing the statewide open access middle mile network. In response to the action plan, the governor and the legislature in the summer of 2021 passed historic legislation and really answered a significant need called out in the action plan, that there was a need for investment to further promote broadband across the state. So they allocated $3 billion investment over 3 years to expand broadband infrastructure, increase affordability, and to enhance broadband access for all Californians. So the way that the funding was divvied up or divided was that $3.25 billion was allocated to the Department of Technology to develop, acquire, construct, maintain, and operate the statewide open access middle mile network. And then an additional $2.75 billion, $2 billion of which went to the Public Utilities Commission to develop last mile infrastructure grant programs, a technical assistance program, and a loan loss reserve for other entities that, like municipalities that wanted to develop their own systems. Currently, the Department of Technology oversees the middle mile network development, and we've been at it for just over a year, and we report out monthly at the Middle Mile Advisory Committee, which is something that we had to create statutorily and report back to. Just to give you a sense of who all is involved in the Middle Mile Working Group and the partners that were called out in statute, I've already outlined the Department of Technology's responsibilities. The Department of Finance is a partner from a budget oversight and facilitation standpoint, and they're helping us do our quarterly reports and annual reports because the lion's share of the middle mile was funded with ARPA dollars. So we're on very tight timelines. We have to have contracts in place by December 2024 and have the entire network developed by December 2026. To assist in this effort, we were directed to retain a third-party administrator. Golden State Net is that entity. They are a member of CNIC, who many of you may be familiar with. That's their parent company. And their job is to help us manage the development, acquisition, construction, maintenance, operation of the network. The Public Utilities Commission was a part of this process, and that really, given that they have a robust public comment process, they had several public comment proceedings to seek public input on the routes and locations that communities needed the middle mile to go through. And that was their role. And then lastly, Caltrans is also a major partner in this. The way that the SB 156 was conceived is that the state open access middle mile network would be constructed along the state highway system. And given that Caltrans owns and controls most of the rights of way, they have a long history of doing construction projects. They are going to be managing the project construction. So I'm going to stop there real quick and get a drink of water. So part of both the executive order and the broadband action plan directed the Department of Technology, the Public Utilities Commission, and others to do all we could to seek additional funding to support the aims of broadband for all, so that really the next layer of funding we're going after is through the also historic Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, which allocated $65 billion to states and localities to support broadband deployment. $48.2 billion of that is going to be administered or being administered through the National Telecommunications Information Administration. Those programs, I'm sure you're all aware of. Those are the Affordable Connectivity Program. I heard some folks talk about adoption. The state is aligning and collaborating on promotion of that, and I know some of the folks and ITAP are intimately involved in that. The next pool of funds is the digital equity programs. which would really go through and take a look at a number of outcomes through the lens of 8 covered populations, and I'll get into that. Then there's the Broadband Equity Access and Deployment Program, the Enabling Middle Mile Infrastructure Program, which the state just submitted an application for, and then to further supplement tribal connectivity and rural connectivity, you've got the next round of funding for the Tribal Broadband Connectivity Program and the Reconnect Program, which is administered through the USDA's Rural Utilities Service. And as I said, at the beginning of this slide, it is our intention to aggressively go after all funding here to support and expand on the aims of the Broadband for All program. So want to shift to digital equity planning, which was one of the things that Katie had asked me to come and talk to this group about. The Department of Technology was designated by the governor and then further empowered by the state legislature recently with the passage of AB 2750 to go out and seek funding and develop the state's digital equity plan. So the Department of Technology has submitted its application. It is going through the process, and we expect to receive a $4 million planning grant from the NTIA to execute and or develop and execute a statewide digital equity plan. We will be doing that in consultation with the California Public Utilities Commission and the Broadband Council. It will require extensive engagement and collaboration with state, regional, and local entities, very much including all of you. And the final plan is going to shape how the state will allocate the digital equity capacity grants that we will get an allocation for once the digital equity plan is completed and approved by the NTIA. To give you a little sense of, I know some people may already know this, so forgive me for being repetitive. The digital equity plan objectives are really for states and for California to develop a digital equity plan that identifies barriers to digital equity and identifies solutions. And part of some of the things that need to be included in the plan are measurable objectives for promoting access to fixed and wireless broadband, online accessibility and inclusivity of public resources, digital literacy, awareness and use of measures to secure privacy and cybersecurity, and access to devices and technical support. Additionally, the digital equity plan is supposed to assess how digital inclusion impacts outcome in education, healthcare and healthcare access, digital literacy, economic and workforce development, civic participation, essential services, and also tribal outcomes. What is, I think, an opportunity that we are embracing, we meaning the state entities, CDT, the PUC, and the Broadband Council, is the requirement that digital equity plans prioritize engagement and outcomes for 8 covered populations that I know a number of your organizations provide services to, and those are low-income individuals, aging individuals, incarcerated individuals, veterans, individuals with disabilities, members of racial and ethnic minority groups, individuals residing in rural areas, and then individuals with literacy barriers. The digital equity planning process that we proposed to the NTIA consisted of 5 key components, and that is building a statewide planning group around the California Broadband Council and expanding it out to include voices from the covered populations and certain outcome area subject matter expertise that we might not have. Developing outcome area working groups that would really dive deep into, for instance, a group like this diving deep into how, what are the barriers to improve healthcare access and outcomes, and how could digital equity achieve that? The third component is really want to take an opportunity to do a large statewide survey, and surveys is in parens there, because we intend to do multiple formats of a survey to both assess barriers, but identify solutions, and try to get as granular of information as we possibly can, and get a good geographic spread in all 58 counties and oversample the covered populations. The fourth component we're going to do is, because it's really important that this plan is not developed in Sacramento, in the state capital, to do 2 rounds of 10 local and regional engagement events as part of the formation of the plan. And then lastly, ongoing stakeholder engagement through a variety of means. Lastly, before the Q&A, I wanted to point out that we do have some upcoming meetings at which you can, we would encourage you to participate in, to come find out more information about the programs that we're working on. The next Broadband Council meeting is October 12th, and we're going to do a year in review of the entire Broadband for All program, and the Department of Technology and PUC are going to give a little more detail about where we're heading with digital equity and BEAD planning. October, sorry, I'm missing a date here that teaches me a lesson for putting a presentation together in the last hour. October 21st is the next Middle Mile Advisory Council meeting. And then on October 24th, we will be having a Fall Broadband for All Summit and Digital Equity and BEAD kickoff. This presentation, which I will share with you all, has links to some helpful resources. And want to conclude with thank you very much for letting me share this information, and would really be happy to answer questions and hear how we can learn from you on how we can shape based on your experience and perspective in shaping a really a meaningful and impactful digital equity plan.
Great, Scott, thank you so much. And I would never have known that you put that presentation together in the last hour. Thank you. It was very, I think, clear and really helpful just to go through the whole story. And thank you for ending with those opportunities to engage. Really appreciate it. So I think we've got about 10 minutes or so for questions. Feel free, does anyone have questions? Feel free to jump in. Diana, go ahead.
Yeah, basic question, Scott. Thank you. That was really helpful. What is the timeline for the state digital equity plan?
Thank you for the question, Diana. The timeline or the clock starts on the digital equity plan as soon as the state receives the award from the NTIA, and we're having bi-monthly meetings with the NTIA, and statutorily, I think they were supposed to give the awards on the September 29th, but it's looking like more sometime in the mid-October to late November. So when you look at that, as soon as we receive the award, it's going to kick off a year-long process.
Great, thank you.
Yep, you're welcome.
Thanks, Scott. Dr. Ozeran.
Thank you, Katie, and thank you, Scott. That was a really informative talk. I have 2 questions. The first question, I guess, is the digital equity plan part of the broadband plan, or is it separate from it?
Well, it's a very good question, and it's one that the Broadband Council, submitted comments to the NTIA prior to them releasing the notices of funding opportunities. Given the extensive amount of work that's been done in California, we thought it was critical that the states who had done a significant amount of work should be given credit for that work. And so the state's Broadband for All program that I ran through that, begins with the executive order and, follows through to the action plan, and then includes Senate Bill 156 and those investments. I think the way that we're looking at this is that the digital equity plan is going to be another component of the Broadband for All program, and that the BEAD 5-year action plan similarly will be another component of broadband for all. And so I think it's a matter of how you look at it. There are very strict requirements, both statutorily and outlined in the notice of funding opportunity. The way that we look at it is where we spent 4 months putting together the Broadband for All action plan that was fairly inclusive of a lot, potentially, of what would be included in the digital equity plan. There wasn't a guaranteed funding stream at the end of it to really identify how those funds can be spent. And given a 12-month period, we are really relishing the opportunity to engage with partners like you all, and other outcome area partners to really dive down deep and to test some of the assumptions and data that we have about barriers to adoption, et cetera. So I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, it does. The reason I ask is because it seems like the digital equity plan should drive everything else, right? You mentioned measurable objectives for the digital equity plan. So it seems to me that we kind of need that plan before we spend billions of dollars. We need to know things like we want to reach 90% of Californians or 75% or whatever percentage of Californians we think we want to reach, or we want to keep prices below $15 a month or $30 a month or whatever price point we want to hit, so that we can drive how we're spending the billions of dollars to make sure those things are possible. And I think that absent this level of specificity, that money will be spent, but it'll be spent suboptimally. So I was wondering, and maybe you don't know the answer to this question, is there a way for us to pause spending until we add this sort of specificity either to the digital equity plan or to the broadband action plan?
Well, it's a really good question. I think if you go back and look at the executive order, it was pretty clear that this is an urgent issue, and that that there's a pressing need now to put more broadband infrastructure out there to provide more both connectivity and signal strength to existing last mile services, but to empower competition and new entrants to come into the marketplace and help drive down costs. There's also the Affordable Connectivity Program, which is a $14 billion pool of funding to provide last mile subsidies, or not last mile subsidies, residential subsidies to customers to drive down the cost of their internet service. It's $30 a month for residents in California, and then $75 a month for residents on travel lands. So, when you look at how the broadband action plan was also developed, that it focused on access, affordability, adoption, and digital literacy is all, 4 critical components of digital equity. And, we feel confident that at the moment we've got a good framework in place, and that given the SB 156 dollars and the middle and last mile initiatives that were created by that, there is a time clock on those dollars, because those are ARPA funds that we can't stop the time clock on that. But I think, to your point, the digital equity plan and the BEAD plan, which is also going to bring a significant amount of additional dollars to the state. The NTIA likes to say that BEAD without equity is bad. And so one thing about both the digital equity and BEAD plans is that they're supposed to be developed concurrently and in collaboration, and that the digital equity plan is a component of the BEAD plan. And, I think, looking at the way we're framing this, it will also be a component of the Broadband for All program.
Yeah, thank you. I'll just close with one comment, and that is that if we only do subsidies or discounts, underlying prices can still go up. So we need to have a broader plan.
Yeah, great point. Thank you, Dr. Ozeran. And last question, Catherine, please go ahead.
Hi, thank you so much for this presentation. And I was looking at those outcomes, which are across every sector of the economy and every stakeholder group that you might imagine even talking with. What's the process going to be for determining how, the level of connectivity actually drives the outcomes at each of those sort of sectors?
Wow, that's a great question. I think that's why we have a planning process that we can go through that. I think you raise a central point that is going to have to be a part of the conversation, and that is what can broadband and what can internet service and devices and training empower. And if we look at broadband is a critical bridge to everything else, then that's kind of the area that we need to look at. And that first we need to get everyone connected. We need to get the vulnerable populations connected with devices that can enable interaction with a whole host of services, state services, healthcare services, education. And part of that is educating, folks in this era of ubiquitous mobile phones, that there is a difference between a seemingly all-powerful mobile phone, wired connection to the home with a connected device, like with a keyboard. You can't write a resume on a mobile phone, and you can't write a term paper or a research paper on a mobile phone. So that's part of the conversation that we're gonna, we look forward to engaging in, and we welcome, your partnership in helping, shape that conversation and the outcomes.
Right. Scott, thank you so much. Catherine, thank you for such a great question to wrap us up on. Scott, thank you. Looking forward to being able to share your presentation with this group of folks. And I know that we'll keep communicating to them on when and how they can engage in those meetings and opportunities that you mentioned, and make sure that you have their information so that they're getting information directly from you as well. So thank you so much.
Oh, thank you, Katie. And one thing I would say is there is going to be a health and health access outcome area working group, and we would definitely hope that all of you would participate in that.
Yeah. Well, now you've met a subset of the group who I'm sure would love to be engaged. So thank you for that invitation. I know many of these folks will take you up on that. Scott, thank you so much for being here today. I really appreciate it. You're welcome to stay on. I do want to kick it over to Shayna Englund. If Shayna, I know you're still with us because I see you in the chat. You don't have to turn on your camera if you don't want to. Scott gave us a whole bunch of opportunities and places where folks can engage on the administrative side. And Shayna and her team from the California Community Foundation and NextGen. Also, for those of you who have a more advocacy bent, I just want to give her a few moments to talk about their statewide CADE Alliance and Coalition, because there's an opportunity for you to engage there as well in that part of the policy process. So Shayna, please go ahead.
Thank you. And I will attempt with my video on, and when my screen freezes, I will turn it back off. Hopefully with a not completely insane look on my face in that freezing moment, which I'm never so lucky. That's not how that happens. So thank you for this. So I mentioned earlier the California Alliance for Digital Equity. It is a statewide advocacy coalition that launched, I think we officially launched in March of this year. And I'll just be kind of transparent with everyone here about some of the origin of that. We were a set of organizations. It was us, Common Sense, NextGen, RCRC, the Rural County Representatives of California, Media Alliance, and Michelson 20mm, another philanthropy, that came together because we had kind of worked together informally and in other coalitions in advocacy and trying to bring community voice to the conversations in the legislature and at the CPUC. And we're hearing some version of the following sentence everywhere we went. Well, when we had our meeting yesterday with the cable lobbyists, or the other day in our weekly conversation with CCTA, they said XYZ. And we were just like, well, who is your regular contact on equity? Like, who is your regular contact of somebody who can bring you the voice of your community and your constituents? And we were met with a lot of blank stares. And so we saw a really big need for there to be a voice that is kind of a balance to the industry voice that is, as you all know, very, very strong. Telecommunications industry is very, very powerful and has been for a long time in Sacramento. So we are a few months in, and transparently, building this plane as we fly it. But we did just finalize governance docs like a solid 6 months after we started doing all of this, and have a lot of opportunities for organizations to join us at the partner level, at the member level, at the just stay informed level, and lots of opportunities to engage actively in conversations with decision makers. Scott, you'll probably hear from us shortly, as well as in getting technical assistance for things like engaging at the California Public Utilities Commission as a party and that sort of thing. So I think Katie had put the link to CADE in the chat. I will also add my email address and cell phone number. I'm very, very accessible. I'm obsessed about this, and so I'm available, because Katie can, I think, attest, and Lily and a few other people on this call, that I am always available on this. Anytime you want to know about broadband equity, I'm your gal, and would love to welcome more voices and engagement from the healthcare space, because we do see it as just a really vital link and stories that need to be told around how another place where broadband matters that sometimes really gets overlooked.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Shana. Really appreciate it. And I know we all have a lot more work to do on this. So does anyone have any final questions for either Scott or Shana? We've got about a couple more minutes. Okay. Seeing none, thank you all for your time today. You'll be hearing from, we have plenty of places to engage in the next couple months. I know we're going into the holidays. So once we have a little bit more information and we hear more from Department of Technology and the legislature sort of gets up and running again, you'll probably be hearing from ITEP again on this probably in the new year. But we'll be pushing out some emails and things to the group as opportunities and meetings come about. But this group will probably meet sometime in the new year. So just wanted to say thank you to all of you. You know where to find us if you have questions. And again, a huge thanks to Scott today and to Shana as well for joining us. So thank you all. Have a great rest of your week. Bye.
Thank you, Katie. Bye, everybody.
Thank you.